Hey guys, Devin here from Miles Away. So today we're going to be reviewing my all-time favorite synth, the Moog Matriarch. This thing is a beast. It's amazing. Hopefully through the course of this video, I can show you guys why I like this thing so much, why I use it on every single track. And if you have any questions in the comments, let me know. I'm happy to ask. We'll also get to a section where I show some of my favorite patch points and patch ideas. So if you want to check that out, skip to this section now. As always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, so the Moog Matriarch is a 4-voice paraphonic synthesizer. What's really special about this is that usually Moog synths are monophonic, meaning they can only play one note at once. And they're really great for that. For example, the Matriarch is still a really great monophonic synth. If we take in some of the oscillators, put in an envelope here. We've already got a great sounding Moog bass, right? But where this synth is just really unique and why I personally am in love with it is that not only can it do that classic Moog sound, but you can get into some really interesting territory that Moog traditionally isn't known for. So like I mentioned, the Moog Matriarch is paraphonic. Now that means it can play chords. But the other two things that are extremely special about this synth is firstly, it's semi-modular, meaning that there's over 90 patch points that you can rewire and get everything in the precise way you want it, creating really interesting opportunities for sound design. And then finally, the two most special things about this synth, in my opinion, which I've never seen any other Moog synth do before, is the stereo filter and the stereo delay. So we'll look into those more in detail later. All right, so let's start with a basic overview of the synth. So over here on the left, you've got an arpeggiator and a sequencer. These are simple but very powerful. You just plug in some notes and hit play. Instant Stranger Things. The arpeggiator works similarly. Go to arpeggio mode, hit play. You can change the order, the rate, and the octaves. Simple, but it works well. So going on, we've got our modulation section here. So this is one of two LFOs. This one's really, really great because you can do things like sample and hold, aka randomness, and you can assign this to absolutely everything. As we'll see, you can even turn this into a 5th oscillator. The LFO can go into audio rates, which means it's great for FM. Awesome lo-fi sound. All right, moving on here, we've got our 4 oscillator bank. So these can be either triangle, saw, square, or pulse. And each of these oscillators has patch endpoints for pitch, modulation for pulse width, and linear FM, which is really amazing. So moving on, we go to the mixer here, which is truly a great mixer. It's based on the classic Moog modular mixers. And what it allows you to do is if we take a saw wave and you turn it past 12 o'clock, it drives it with this great analog distortion. Listen to this. That is thick for sure. Okay, we've also got a noise source here if we want to turn that on. And the white noise has a hidden high pass filter. Moving on, like I hinted at, real star of the show here, the stereo ladder filter. So if we take it just at its bare minimum, got a classic ladder sound. But what's so great about the stereo filter? The resonance peaks can be adjusted independently. The cutoff can be adjusted independently. And you can even patch in certain oscillators to only go to one side. It's really amazing. Moving on here, we've got, I skipped over this, but we've got two attenuators, three attenuators actually, and another LFO. This one is much simpler, but it's actually very useful because you can use it to do things like modulate the delay or modulate the white noise level. So, all right, moving on here, we've got our envelope generators. Really, really great envelope generators. They're some of the snappiest envelopes you can hear. The one on the right is for the amplitude. And the one on the left is for the filter. All right, so next up, we're gonna look at my favorite part of this synth, which is the stereo analog delay. So listen to a dry signal. And then as we bring in the delay, really beautiful. So this delay is honestly on its own worth the price of purchasing the synth, in my opinion. It's the nicest delay I've ever heard. I can run my guitar through it. I can run other synths through it, and it just adds a great character. So finally here we've got our VCA section with some different really interesting modes. So we've got our standard mode here, we've got drone mode, where it'll repeat forever with the VCA open, the last chords you play. And then the final one here, we've got split mode, which is really cool. So what that does is it actually splits the left and right channel with the envelopes. So what we can do with that is we can have on the left hand side a really short and snappy sound, and on the right hand side, one that rings out. Really unique stuff for sound design. So next up, we're gonna look at some patch ideas. So for the first patch idea, we're gonna actually turn the LFO over here into a fifth oscillator. So this is really interesting because it allows us to make just some massive sounds, and it doesn't even necessarily come at the expense of the LFO. You just have to use the LFO at a very high rate if you want to still use it. But remember, we also still have a second LFO. So we're going to patch in on the back here out of the keyboard CV out, and we're going to go into the rate in of the LFO. We're going to take a second cable and we're going to go from the rate out, wave out, sorry, into the noise in. So if we turn all this down, now all of a sudden we hear noise. Now, listen as we plug in to the noise in. We've got our oscillator, and it's being gated with the keyboard to play different notes. So if we bring in another oscillator, they're now in tune. Let's bring in the others. We now have a 5-oscillator mono synth. Let's bring in the LFO that we've just used as an oscillator with some filter cutoff. All right, so the next patch idea we're going to do here actually involves modulating the delay. Now, this is probably my most used patch idea, and it just really creates an awesome lo-fi tape sound to any sound you want to make. So we're going to go out from the second LFO triangle out into the attenuator input. So we don't want to get the full range of the LFO. Then we're going to go from the attenuator output into the delay time 1 in. We're going to bring in a couple of oscillators here. Nice. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the delay and start to bring in the mix. We can hear the delay warbling in pitch with the timing of the LFO. Very dreamy. I love this feature so much, and I use it on almost every single atmospheric sound that I'll put in one of my Miles Away tracks. It's truly one of the most unique features of the synth to be able to get this quality of delay that goes on almost forever, sounds so lush, and has that nostalgic sound that is just kind of not quite perfectly in tune. So definitely urge you guys to try that one out. Probably my favorite patch tip. Next up, we're going to be looking at how to create an 808 kick style, really punchy sound by modulating one of the oscillators with their pitch envelope. So check this out. We're going to go from our pitch envelope into our filter envelope out. And we're going to bring in a triangle wave. So pretty unusable, unless you want to make a laser sound. Let's get rid of that delay. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go into the attenuator input, and then we're going to go from the attenuator output into the pitch where we were before. So that's going to allow us to control the amount of pitch modulation that gets applied. So with none, all the way to lots. So I'm kind of liking that amount. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the decay way down. I'm liking how that sounds. Let's put it down an octave and add in some drive. And we're going to take the filter down and then use the same envelope, the filter envelope, to make that same shape happen on the filter to get our click. Awesome sounding analog 808 bass. So finally, we're almost done. There's a couple more steps you can take. So what I love to do, make a unique sounding stereo 808, is to change the spacing on the filter. Bring in some noise. Put a little bit of glide. Make sure re-trigger's on. Awesome, sounds great. All right, so for the final patch idea here, we're going to use filter feedback in order to create a really blistering lead sound. So we're going to be in mono mode here. Let's start by bringing in a couple of oscillators. First one's gonna be a square. Second one is a saw, an octave higher. Another saw, an octave higher. Already sounding pretty cool. So let's bring down the filter. So now we've lost a lot of the top end, but we get that wonderful filter characteristic. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna take 2 patch cables and we're gonna take the VCF out of each of the filters and reroute it back into itself. So VCF1 is going into cutoff 1, VCF2 going to cutoff 2. So now listen to the difference in tone. So much more aggressive, completely different characteristic. We can play with the spacing. Drive it a little bit. One final really cool tip for this sound that I love to do is if we take the LFO out, wave out, and we choose one of the higher lead linear FM ins, because they're all the same, they're just detuned. Watch as I half put the plugin as an accentuator. Alright guys, so that's going to bring this video review of the Moog Matriarch to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments if you have any patching tips. Like I mentioned, I'm pretty new to modular, so I'm always down to learn new things and I'm always down to talk with you guys about it. Finally, that intro track was actually made in about half an hour with only sounds from the Moog Matriarch except for the drums. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of the kind of range of sound this thing can do. I use it on everything from the heaviest Trap Nation drops all the way to the nicest atmospheric pads. It's really, really a beast in how versatile it is, and that's why I love it. Anyways, thanks as always for watching, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps me know what kind of content to make, and otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.